February 19th, 2022. Howie and Wayne Pacelli worked on a letter for one of the House members to send to another one. And so I'm going to read the content of the letter, but not who was involved in it. I was very grateful for your decision to put the Big Cat Public Safety Act on the floor in the previous Congress. The bill was the focus of a hearing before Chairman Grijalva's committee, and Democrats were united in wanting to crack down on the trade in big cats for pets and for tawdry cub-petting spectacles at roadside zoos. Knowing we might not have had time for Senate action after a December 2020 vote, we wanted nonetheless to show momentum and get off to a good head start for a conclusive action in the 117th Congress. We won that vote handily, even though the Republican leaders conducted some hostile messaging targeting Democrats for bringing up a series of bills that day, like the Shark Fin Sales Elimination Act and the U.S. Senator Joseph D. Tidings Memorial Past Act, which was about horse soaring. We won the vote with 2/3 on suspension, despite the Republicans recommending and whipping for a no vote. In the instance of the Big Cat Public Safety Act, we had 48 yes votes on the floor, more than doubling the number of Republican co-sponsors we had going into the vote. Democrats supported the bill unanimously. In the 117th Congress, we now have more than twice the number of Republican co-sponsors joining my bill and again demonstrating our party's support for animal protection, an issue set that has consistently been proven to be one of a key areas of interest and success for our party and the American people. I know you share my passion for fighting animal cruelty. In the 117th Congress, even though we have fewer Democrats than in the 116th, the dynamics are far more favorable for us, and we are supremely confident that, 1, we can readily clear the 2/3 threshold on a roll call vote, and 2, that we won't see a repeat of demeaning and politically self-destructive attacks on animal welfare legislation by the Republican leaders. There are no Democrats opposing my legislation, and the key metric for us in winning a suspension vote is that we have 51 Republican co-sponsors. Again, more than double the co-sponsors total that we had at the end of 116th Congress. There are 24 other Republicans who have either given verbal assurances they would vote for the bill or voted yes in 2020 but have not co-sponsored yet. If we maintain the ratio of co-sponsors to aye votes that we saw in the 116th conference, we'll get more than 100 aye votes on the floor this time around. With 25% of Republicans co-sponsoring H.R. 263, it would be a self-inflicted wound for the Republicans to attack our bill and attempt to make the argument that Democrats are not bringing serious-minded policies to the floor. We will be prepared to reference the members of their conference who are co-sponsoring the bill. They are a diverse set of Republicans, including some of the most conservative members of their caucus, from Ralph Norman to Pete Sessions to Elise Stefanik. The list of 2020 Republican co-sponsors did not have nearly as many hardcore conservative members. We also have the national law enforcement community solidly behind the legislation. We have even more first responder endorsements than in 2020, including the National Sheriff's Association, the Fraternal Order of Police, the National Animal Control Association, and numerous state organizations. These first responders do not want to come across a tiger in someone's basement or backyard when they respond to a crime, a medical crisis, a fire, or some other emergency. Republican leaders have an incentive to let all members of the conference vote their conscience, since 1/4 of Republicans are supporting law enforcement on this critical safety issue. There are no organizations with any grassroots capacity on record in opposing the bill. There are a handful of roadside zoos opposing the measure, and that number has shrunk compared to past years. Carole Baskin, who achieved fame in Tiger King series, has worked closely with Animal Wellness Action and met with dozens of Republican lawmakers over the last year. Numerous Republican lawmakers took pictures with Mrs. Baskin and put 75 of those pictures on social media, touting their visits, all indicators of their affection and interest in these issues, and a counterweight to any argument to the contrary. The Senate Republican Chiefs of Staff invited Ms. Baskin to speak at their weekly meeting, where she received a warm and favorable response. Of the 40 or so major animal welfare bills introduced into Congress, no other bill has more Republican co-sponsors than this one. Not the bills to crack down on horse slaughter, 25, needless animal testing for drug development, 24, horse soaring, 45, shark finning, 44, or puppy mills, 17. Animal Wellness Action has a number of former Republican House members working with it, Jeff Denham and Ed Whitfield, and they have urged Republican leaders to support the bill. They are cautiously optimistic that the leadership will not actively whip against the bill. And some members of their leadership will most certainly support the legislation. The Big Cat Public Safety Act has 25% of Republicans in the House backing it, unanimous Democratic support, and a vast array of endorsers, from the major zoos to major law enforcement groups to the major animal welfare conservation groups. Every Democrat will bank a good vote, and the few dozen Republicans who vote no will be showing off their opposition to protecting law enforcement and stopping unacceptable mistreatment of animals. Our caucus is known for our support of animal welfare legislation and receives consistent support from this important, broad constituency. In a Congress where we have not yet completed work on even a single animal welfare bill, and with so many Republicans publicly aligned on this bill, I recommend we act.
Hi, I'm Carole Baskin via my artificial intelligence avatar today, and I've been writing my story since I was able to write. But when the media goes to share it, they only choose the parts that fit their idea of what will generate views. These are my views and opinions. If I'm going to share my story, it should be the whole story. The titles are the dates things happened. If you have any interest in who I really am, please start at the beginning of this playlist. I know there will be people who take things out of context and try to use them to validate their own misconception, but you have access to the whole story, real and AI visuals from HeyGen, OpenArt, and other platforms. This video is for entertainment purposes only.